Why has Talanoa Hufanga regressed so much since the first couple months of the season when he was one of the best players in the team?
The first couple months of the season, I think people thought like were touting him as if he was the best player on the
Talanoa, he was
like,
freaking Troy Polamalu. Boom.
yeah.
Ronnie Lott.
I think he was still in the beginning of the year. He was still doing some of the things that he's doing now. It's just really, he's
It's
still
true.
doing the same sort of things.
It's true.
Right now, he's
Week
just
one.
not kind of
Week one against Pettis. Same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
I think now I believe in the last 3 or 4 weeks, right? He's given up 4 touchdowns. The last
5 touchdowns in the last four games.
Sometimes
5 games.
I said, yeah. Sometimes confidence can be a negative thing, right? Because you're like, oh, I'm the man, right? I'm the man.
Yep.
Like it's worked. It's worked. Taking chances have worked out great for me. So let me just do more. Like right. Let me just.
I'm the next Troy Polamalu. I'm gonna play like Troy played.
Right.
And
he says all the right things, right? Like he's like,
yes.
oh, that's on me. I got to be better. But that only flies for so long, right? Like sooner or later, okay, you're recognizing it's you, but now you got to fix it, man. Like
fix it. Yeah.
Fix it. Yeah. Like
because you're supposed to be the super smart, cerebral, does all his homework, asks the right questions in the meetings. All right, man, we'll stop blowing assignments because you're the guy in the secondary blowing assignments every freaking game and it's touchdowns.
Right. And I think the bigger issue is that it's mental and disciplinary. It's not like he's just getting roasted because of his physical abilities. He's blowing mental assignments.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Like if he was matched up on like Christian Watson and Watson just ran by him, whatever, like all right, like that's
bad matchup.
I get
bad
it.
matchup. Yeah.
Bad matchup. Okay,
yep.
Fine. If Devontae Adams just like mossed the hell out of him or whatever and just made a great play.
Which is what happened to Lenore last week. It's like, hey man, what are you gonna do? Yeah, you're Lenore, he's Adams. Yup, I get it.
Right. And by the way, according to Pro Football Reference, Lenore has given up 0 touchdowns on the year, and Talanoa Hufanga has
given up at least six, because they said he only gave up 1 against the Raiders. I don't think they've decided who to give the first one to Waller. It looked like it was Talanoa's guy. He ran right at Talanoa, but I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And this is a defense that's given up 19 touchdown catches this season. 19. He's given up 6 or 7 of them.
He has 2 more than the next. He has twice as much as the next Niner, which is
it can't happen.
A couple that
it's making me miss Tart. Tart, look, say what you want about Tart. He won't, he'll drop the interception or whatever. He won't give up 7 freaking touchdown catches in a season. No. 7? He'll be in the right spot. He won't bust coverages weekly.
I've always, when I've coached secondaries, I've always coached to play. I want them to play on the safer side because while interceptions are great and they're a great determining, turnovers are a great determining factor of how to win of winning games. But you know what's a bigger determining factor is
touchdowns.
Touchdowns.
Touchdowns. Yeah.
Touchdowns. Like
man.
Touchdowns for the other team. Touchdowns for your team. Touchdowns. Yeah. So like 4 interceptions is great, right? That's what.
But how many of those were because he jumped a route, or how many of those were just because he was in the right place at the right time after a tip or an overthrow? Like, he doesn't need to be super aggressive to pick off passes. Maybe you just need to be in the right place at the right time like Tashawn Gibson was last week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's the way you coach it up.
Yeah.
So, like, they'll just let them come to you. You don't have to like go out of your coverage to do it. And I think and when you do, you have to be super cerebral about it. I think Robert Saleh, I believe, a couple years ago when he was with the Niners, he talked about that, about the defensive players, especially. I think he was talking about specifically about Sherman. Like Sherman knew when to come out of a coverage and take a chance, and when not to,
based on 10 years of experience.
Right.
Yeah. And this guy, real quick, I mean, it seems to me that earlier in the season he was taking chances, Talanoa, but he was still doing his job and acting as, most of the time, 1 of 11 on defense. Now, I mean, you listen to what D'Amico said yesterday. He's playing hero ball, which means he thinks he's the man and he needs to go above and beyond what's called and do. It's like you can't play with a guy like that. The guy's got to be doing his job. You're 1 of 11.
I even thought last week it got to the point where they might have needed to sit him and get him to understand, like, listen, can't play like this, but like
you can't play like this. We're gonna play Warden Gibson until you go back to playing like you played in September and October. We know you can do it, man. And I agree. This is mental, and this is him. This is too many people comparing him to Troy Polamalu. Like, whoa, he was playing well. He was an upgrade over Tart. Start there. Stop. He's doing way too much. Your own coach said it, man. You're not a hero.
Right.
You're 1 of 11. Because right now, you're the worst player on the defense. You are the liability. You're giving up touchdowns. Stop.
Right. And I do think it's a big. I don't think you can understate that he's called out by his defensive coach. Like, his defensive coach specifically talked about him and called him. He did it in a very soft way. Like,
yeah,
he did call him out. And when has D'Amico really called out players specifically?
Nah. So early on, he's like, it's been an eye discipline issue, and then I follow up. I'm like, well, let's talk about Talanoa. He was so good, but now he's giving up big plays. Is it the eye discipline? He was like, yeah. And then he starts talking about hero ball and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, man, it seems like he's sending Talanoa a message. I'm sure he said this stuff. 100%. Yeah, it's like, and also it's like, okay, so you're saying it publicly, and this has been happening for a while. I'm guessing you've been saying it in meetings, and now this is the next, okay, it's not getting across. You're making the same mistake. Well, now I got to say it. And he didn't go out there with a speech, but once someone asked the question, he was like, well, here it is. Let's go. So,
yeah.
Talanoa, did you get the memo? Did you get the memo? You don't need to be the guy who has a feeling and makes a play every game. Just don't be the guy that gives up the touchdown every game, and the Niners will win the Super Bowl most likely. It kind of feels like the Niners didn't win the Super Bowl last year because of the strong safety position. Don't be the reason this year. Yeah.
To me, I don't feel the Niners didn't win because of strong safety. I thought they didn't win the Super Bowl last year.
They feel that, though. They feel that. But you're right. Of course. You weren't going to win that game with 17 points. Kenny757 says, thanks for the Huff video. Sometimes it's better to see your mistakes in order to correct them, and he and D. Ryans need to adjust and correct them now. I just put up a video earlier of all the touchdowns he gave up this year. And what's interesting to me about it is there's only one where he's actually in coverage on the guy. Everyone else is a busted coverage. And I only made the video because Brian's brought it up. And I made a video early this week about Purdy's misses because Kyle brought it up. So just wanted to show you what the coaches are talking about. Tanyan says, how do you guys feel about the Seahawks playing at 1 and the Lions and Packers playing at 5, meaning the Lions could get eliminated before they play? I haven't thought about that.
I think the NFL has. Like, they don't want.
So they don't want the Lions in the playoffs. They want Packers, right?
I think they want that game to mean something, right? So I forgot what it is. They're going to want that game to have meaning. So they want that game to be basically a play in your, win and you're in scenario.
Got it.
So that everyone's watching that game. I think that's isn't that game the Sunday Night Football game? The Lions and.
Dude, you'd think I would cover the NFL, but I just cover the 49ers. Basically. I don't know. Sorry.
You could come 49ers and tacos,
49ers and tacos.